Hello everyone, I'm Anand. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to build a basic calculator using Django, a full stack Python framework. To understand this project, we need certain prerequisites, the basic understanding of HTML and CSS, and more importantly, the understanding of Python. We have to have Python installed in our system, and also we need a text editor. Uh, I'm using VS Code. You can use any text editor of your choice. And we need initially a command prompt to set up our project. In this demonstration, I'm going to cover Django project structure, how we handle URLs, settings, and some static content, how we handle the static content, and the workflow. And we are not going to cover databases as we don't need one for the calculator app, so it will be a concept for some other time. So before any further delay, let's dive in. All right, now let's find out whether Python is installed in our machine or not. As you can see, I have 3.11.3. You can go for anything latest that is available. Um, let's exit from there and let's clear that out. Now if you want to install Django directly into your machine, that is completely up to you, but I would highly recommend you to do all your installations inside a virtual environment in order to avoid any kind of conflicts. So in order to install a virtual environment, let's say pip install virtual env is the command, and there you go, we have our virtual environment getting installed. And now once we have the virtual environment, let's name our virtual environment something. Let's say env. You can say my env or anything else. So once that is done, you see that a virtual environment is created. Now we have to activate our virtual environment. So env slash scripts slash activate is the command. And you can see that this path is actually prefixed with the virtual environment name. That means that we are inside the virtual environment right now. So now we can go ahead and do the Django install. So pip install Django, and it's going to take a little time, but because it has to collect all the packages and dependencies that are required, as you can see, it is installing all the packages and getting all the dependencies, obtaining all the dependency information, and that's why it's taking a little more time. And I want to mention this point as well, because every time you want to use this Django, you have to activate your environment. That is a must. Now once this is successfully installed, now let's say Django hyphen admin, which will throw us some bunch of comments. And and this there are commands which you can see this make, migrate, migration, and migrate. These are used for database, which we're not going to use right now. But you can see that this is the run server, and you can see there is startup and also start project. And let's use a start project now. Django hyphen admin space start project, and let's call our project as Django Kelsey. I think that's a bad name, but that's what I came up with, so let's deal with it. Now what exactly this will do is it will create a boilerplate files and structure for our project, and it will do all the core configurations that are required for the project. Once we get into the project structure, I'll show you what all it has created, and what are and how each file is very important in its own way. So once we have created this, let's get into the project folder, say Django Kelsey. And inside the project, what we'll do is we will run a file called manage.py, and we will use the command run server to start the server. And once we are done, here we can see that this is the link that it is providing, and it is already available. So this is the page that you will see once you go to this particular link. If you see this page, that means you have successfully installed Django and created your project. Now you can see inside the Django project, we have our environment. Let's go ahead and select the Django project, Django Kelsey, and select folder, and it opens up the entire structure of the project. This is the boilerplate files that we have discussed before. Here we have manage.py file, which is a command line utility, to interact with our project. This is where we run our commands, and we have it comes with a SQLite 3 database. We can integrate with no Postgre or no SQL, and here we have WSGI, which stands for Web Service Gateway Interface, which is basically stands in between web server and our application to serve the calls. And we have ASGI as well, which is basically asynchronous version of WSGI and maybe a little more advanced. And the most important files that we have here are urls.py. This is where we kind of register all our pages, and this is where the we mention the path of the URLs, and it serves the calls. And let's get rid of all these comments first. To understand better, let's define some functions here and try to call them. um, before before doing that, just import some HTTP response here from Django.http. Import HTTP response, and let's define some functions. Say let's define home, and from here define HTTP response, um, say home page, and also let's define something called profile, and return HTTP response, uh, profile page, and there are arguments. Let's say request here, and the same request we're passing here, and then we will define some paths here. Let's copy this and here twice, and remove this stuff, and let's call this home. This is not how we do it, but I just wanted to make things easy for us to understand. And let's write this as profile, and here we are doing profile, and let's save it, and let's run our server. But you can see it is already up and running, and if you go to this particular link, and you can see the home page here, and if you go to the profile, uh, say you can see the profile page here. So you get the idea now, right? So that is URL page for you. And if you see the most important file of all is settings.py file, which is here. And basically this is where we all register our apps here, and we register our middleware, we register our databases, our templates, and all our static content here. So this is basically the control center of this entire project. The settings.py file is the most important aspect of this project. To understand settings.py and URLs, let's create an app inside the project. For that, we have to write Python Python manage.py start app. Let's call our app as base, and say enter. And the moment you hit enter, you see this is a structure that has been created. We have views.py file where we define our functionalities for our URLs, and we have models.py where we define our databases and schemas. And in apps.py, we have our base config functionality here, where we have this configuration here. But at this point of time, we don't the project doesn't understand that there is an app in the project. So it has no idea that it has a app called base inside the project. So to make it understand, we need to go to the settings.py, and in the settings.py we have to mention our app existence. So we need to register our app here in this section, and let's say go to the base and go to the apps, and inside the apps you have something called uh, base config. Let me see whether it is right or not. Yeah, base config, base, it's capital C, base config. Now the project understands that there is an app existing in this. We will see that there is nothing defined here, and let's define some functionality here. Before that, in the URLs page, we have defined certain functionalities inside to explain what is going on. But if we go here and we copy paste the entire thing, uh, and we go and we define it here in the views.py, and let's save that one. And if we go to that profile page, we can see there is an error here. This is because this URLs py file has no idea how to target this home and profile functions that we have defined inside the views.py. So to do that, we what we do is we actually create a new file called urls.py in the base app, and what we do is actually we kind of register our these URLs file inside this URL file. And how do we do that? So let's open both the URLs files side by side, and let's copy this, and let's paste it here. We don't need the admin import here. And once we did this, we don't need this admin part here, and let's go ahead and remove that. And we have home and profile defined in this base URL. Now we have to do certain changes to the base URLs file. So first of all, let's import views into this. uh, from dot import views, and also give proper path to this, that is views dot home, and also for the profiles views dot profile. And once we are done, let's save this, and also let's make some changes to the project url page. So now we have to register this url file into this url file. So how do we do that? So we'll go and import something called include, and once we have included that, let's call that include function here, and let's give the path here. So here the workflow would be like this. Whenever there is a request for the home, you will hit this page first, and this is where it goes to this particular app and finds the urls, sorry. And once this it will redirect here, and it will go to this page, and this page will show the path to the home functionality, and this will go to views, and in the views it will go to the home and get the http responses home page. So let's go ahead and see. We have, this is the home page and this is the profile page. Now, as you can see, they both are functioning well. Now let's go ahead and convert this project into our calculator app. To convert this app into a calculator app, first we will create a calculator.html. To do that, what we do is we actually go into this base and we'll create a folder. The folder is called templates, and there you go. In the templates, whatever the app name that we have given here, we have to give a folder name similar to that inside the templates. Say base, and this is in this space we will create a new file called calculator.html. I know it's a weird structure, but this is exactly how Django standard is. So this is how we create HTML pages. And if we want to create HTML pages which are common across all the HTML pages, we will create a folder which is outside this base app somewhere here. And what we do is we will kind of extend all those HTML pages inside our um, calculator.html. But as of now, we don't need so many web pages. So all we need is calculator.html. Now the second thing that we do is we actually go into this views page, and we will make changes to the functionalities here. To do that, let's say let's create something called main, and let's create a context. And as of now, because this is home page, we are not going to give any kind of context here. We are just giving an empty dictionary, and inside this what we do is we will pass the request, and we will give the base hyphen calculator calculator dot html, and we will pass the context here. Okay. And to save some time, I'm gonna paste the next definitely no next method here. So this is the main method that that works for us, and it is called calculate, and it takes three no it takes three input parameters, number one and number two, and we will give operation. That means whichever it is, add, multiply, subtract, and all that stuff. And here the result will be for addition. You will combine these two and give the result, and in the context as a dictionary key value pair, we will pass the result into a context, and we will pass this, and we will render it back to the web browser. That is the main purpose of the context here. So we have all these four operations present here, and finally we will return html no html page back. So this is a simple process, and next we will go into the urls page, and we will change the paths here. So for home, we have actually mentioned it as main. For calculator, we have mentioned we use dot calculate, and here we will give the same, and we have done changes to the views, and we have changed the urls relevant to the url page. Okay, now what we need to do is we will go ahead and change this calculator dot html. I forgot to make a change here. Here we are rendering HTML page, not HTML just response. So we need to use render here, and let's save that. And then let's go to URLs. And here, instead of just keeping it like this, let's give some name to it. Um, and also here, we can name this as calculate. And let's save that. But then the reason why we're giving names here is we can directly access this whole thing using these names. So we will actually see this. Okay, going into the calculator.html, instead of typing everything, I'm just gonna uh, paste this entire code here, and it's pretty simple code. It's not much to explain here. It has just a heading and a form, and form has some input labels, to accept both the numbers number one and number two, and you can select the operation, and finally you can submit the button, and you can get the result. So this is the basic html form that we have, and let's see how we can connect this html to our views.py. To do that, we have to do is what we have to do is we will go to the form action, and we will use a ginger template here. Okay, so how do we use ginger template? And first of all, what is ginger template? The ginger templates are basically used for applying python like code inside the html. So whenever you want to write the code inside the html, we use ginger templates. These are pretty famous. Even they can interact with databases. So in this case, we are using ginger template here to give the url, and in the url we are giving the name. Remember, we are have given you in this is the name that we have given here. So this is the name we are referring in actions as well. Okay, let's go to calculator.html, and we'll just paste it here. And second thing is we can pass security code tokens as well using Ginger templates. And the WSGA of Django actually makes it mandatory to use CSRF token. So how do you pass the CSRF token? So we'll just use double percentage, and we will use CSRF underscore token. That's pretty much it. And now finally we will go, and also this is a different kind of a ginger template to access the variables, double curly braces on the both the sides, and we'll just pass result. So there you go. We have just passed everything that we need. We have defined the form action, we have passed the token, and we are getting the result back. So let's run our manage server, and once we are done with this, we'll go here and we will see. Okay, now we have the Django calculator app ready, up and running. So we can use 3 and 3 4 plus, and is the result, and this is 34 divided by 5, and it gives you, sorry, it's addition. Okay, let's do some other application like 5, and say let's divide, and it is working as expected. So we have a calculator app which is up and running. So let's make it a little prettier using css. So and also we will understand how we can use the static content like css inside our application. In order to apply css on top of our calculator.html, first we need to create a structure to place our css file. To do that, what we have to do is we have to create a folder called static, and inside the static folder we will create one more folder called styles, and inside the styles we will create a file called main.css. And when we go inside the main.css, we just know have this basic css content that we place here. And let's save this. This is just no, it's a very basic level css file that we have. And once we are done with the css file, what we have to do is we have to again register this static content into settings.py. So we will go to the settings.py, and where we can see the static url. Well, I would recommend you to put a hyphen here, like a slash here, and here we will say something like static files directory dir, and we will pass this content here, and let's pass the base hyphen director, and let's give a slash here, and let's mention our folder name. So this is where it actually go and check for the css. So this is how we register our css folder inside the settings.py. And let's save this. Now we have a css that is connected to our project, but it is not applied on top of calculator.html. So how do we do this? So first things first, we need to go inside the calculator.html, and we have to load our css here. So how do we do this? So we will again use a ginger template here, and we will put to a percentage, and let's say load, and we will say static, and that will load the static folder here. And here you can see this line. Let's uncomment this one, and we use ginger template here. So we will use 2% signs, and we will say static, and in the quotations we will mention um, styles dash main dot css, and let's save that, and let's go to our page, and let's refresh it. As you can see, the css is successfully applied on top of our html. So we can see that it is already functioning, and you can see um, other operations are also working. Let's enter this one, and let's subtract, and this is all working as expected. I hope this project will give you some insight into Django framework. And if you want source code, you can find it in my GitHub account open for public. That's pretty much from my end. Thank you.